Do you recognize this image? How about this one? I'm sure you're getting a sense of familiarity. If it isn't any of the pink-haired anime girls, then I guarantee that you know the opening. Lilium. Seriously, I love Lilium. It's beautifully haunting. I'm not sure on the history of the song, but all I know is that Elfen Lied probably wouldn't be remembered as much if it wasn't for Lilium. I'm sure if you ask anyone about Elfen Lied, they'll give you an answer such as, "Oh yeah, I remember that show. That show's up." That being said, I'm gonna cover it. The anime, the OVA. I'll be also providing comparisons to the manga. My goal is to properly recap the show while comparing it to the source material, while answering a question for myself. Was Elfen Lied any good? I should also note that Elfen Lied was my first ever anime. That actually explains a lot. Wow. One last thing, if you want something more analytical, I recommend Hazel's video on it. It's much better than mine and a lot longer, with a lot more detail and care put into it. So go ahead and watch it, link in the description. After you watch this first one, of course. Please, your support via a like or a sub means that the powers that be won't harvest my organs for organic matter. Let's begin. The first 5 or so minutes keeps your interest. The show is often called a middle school anime because of how edgy it can be at times. Now, the word edgy doesn't really mean anything to me because it can differ from person to person. Some people that have 3 brain cells argue that Berserk is edgy, and then they say the same thing about whatever new mid-ass isekai drops. To me, edgy is a feeling more than a set definition. In that case, yeah, Elfen Lied is kind of edgy. Anyway, this is Lucy, but this is also Lucy. But not really, because she's new. She's our main girl, and she has split personalities. She breaks containment, and we can see right away that she is capable of doing serious damage. She leaves the room humming the main theme as she ventures out of the dark. Then the true slaughter begins. This woman is capable of tearing men limb from limb, blocking entire magazines of bullets. As she approaches, guards are torn apart, blood paints the walls crimson. Something is capable of shredding their bodies to bits, and she apparently has telekinesis, as this guard finds out the hard way. Fun stuff. Call me crazy, but I think she may have some pent-up rage. Anyway, here's a cute anime girl. I was too lazy to Google search her name. I hope you enjoy this cute anime girl. Oh, right, she dies. Someone unlocks the emergency exit for Lucy, and after this dude fucking whiffs, she's sent flying off of the cliff. So already the first few minutes of the show, it's a strong introduction. We have so many questions, a dark atmosphere is set, and it generally does a good job at reeling you in immediately. Afterwards, we cut to Kota, our protagonist and the most boring character this show could follow. And Yuka. I don't like her. They're college students and they haven't seen each other since they were kids. They reminisce their time spent as children, and Kota brings up Kane, his sister who passed away from an illness, much to Yuka's surprise. They're both immediately mesmerized by the sudden appearance of a naked anime girl on the beach. Now instead of murder, she actually tries running at the sight of them. Yuka mentions the horns, and after Kota looks, he receives a glimpse of his sister. Obviously, you're most likely thinking, wait, didn't she just create 23 widows 5 minutes ago? Yes, she did. The contrast is very noticeable, since without her femcell rage, she's in awe at the sight of the falling petals and the overall new scenery. They decided to name her New, since that's all she can say. We get a fan service scene, and don't worry, Lucy is like 18 according to a Google search, even though it's contradicted in dialogue 10 minutes after this. The show even reminds you that all this carnage came from our pink-haired autist. I love it. We're introduced to the SAT, special forces that are called in to solve specific problems like hostage situations and so on. Here we meet a man named Bando, one of the most useless characters in the anime. He's not a very nice person. How do we know this? 1, he complains that he doesn't get to shoot people that scream. And 2, he hits cute anime women.
This chicken is cold!
They debate what to do with Lucy before she takes out a case from Kota's bag with a seashell inside that is his sister's memento, the last thing he has to remember her by. Lucy fucking breaks it. Kota has a justified crash out, which sends New off running due to all the screaming he's doing. Now, I too can relate to that, New, because I also hate loud noises. Thanks, Dad. Yuka suggests that New broke it because she saw that it made Kota sad, and she didn't want him to be sad because then it would make Kane sad. Then we cut to the SAT soldiers preparing to land on the beach, and Bando here gives more comically evil rhetoric as they're dropped off to search the beaches for Lucy. Also, I just want to say the outro song is good, but it just feels so out of place. Kota thinks back to what Yuka told him. Obviously, he's feeling guilty for acting harsh, but then there's a knock at the door. The police officer's questions regarding Lucy tells us that the entire government system is after a barely legal anime girl. Kota lies about meeting her. goes outside and we're brought back to Bando, who clearly has his sights on Lucy. Now, Kota does find her first, but literally 5 seconds later, he gets his shit rocked. Yuka finds Kota down on the beach. The police make their move, and we're brought back to Bando's side plot. Bando smacks this dork cause how dare he follow protocol and deny Bando's fun of harming anime women. Bando is disappointed that Nu won't retaliate. Out of frustration, he hits her with the butt of his gun. Cannon fodder A approaches when a slash of crimson paints the logs. Oh, he dead. Now, what we call Bando in this situation is fucked. Bro activated her femcell rage. Surprisingly, he is able to evade her vectors even when Lucy starts weaponizing boats. Bando uses a actually pretty smart tactic here. His plan is to shoot the grenade on his comrade's corpse. He waits until he hears her step into the pool of blood before jumping out.
Hey, you freak of nature, time to die!
Now, there's one thing Bando forgot here. Lucy at times rocks a 9.
Hey, that's not fair. You're cheating.
Remember when I said Lucy had femcell rage? Yeah, she takes it out on Bando by slicing off his arm, breaking his other arm, and giving him a little poke in the eyes. She glances at her hand before she suddenly becomes new again. I think he's a little upsetty, and blood has no spaghetti. I can't believe I just said that. This little girl that we were introduced to at the beginning briefly patches up Bando until help arrives to save him. Kota is in the hospital and he once again is questioned by the same officers. Now he gives a false description before the cops cut him loose.
God, I really hope she hasn't been killed.
What?
Kota doesn't elaborate on this because he's an anime protagonist, therefore he's stupid. Nu is waiting for him back home and she brings a shell to rub it in Kota's face that his crash out wasn't very nice. Yuka recalls back to when she last saw Kota, and no, this isn't a story about bonding over loss or the ever-increasing passage of time. It's exactly what you think it is. Kota exclaims that he won't turn her in. Then he tries to change her clothes, which results in our first grand anime moment of the show.
There.
We're brought back to director Kurama, and then we're introduced to number 7. I'd show you the full scene, but no, I don't feel like editing in more censorship. Yuka is a proud supporter of Wincest, so she clearly disapproves. Like most women, Yuka can't just tell Kota what's on her mind, so she slaps him. We got our first baka, boys. We're locked in. She's scared that Kota forgot about her and thus doesn't really care about her at all. This is Nana, and she's a lot more docile than Lucy. Nana calls the director Papa due to him being the one that she leaned on for support during all the torture and experiments that she endured. It is honestly a really depressing scene, seeing her chained up, covered in her own blood. It's just really hard to see, especially for a character that just seems so innocent. We also learn that the Diclonius have the ability to sense each other, making Nana's job easier to locate Lucy. We get this cute segment of Kota and Nu. He asks her for water, and instead she brings back a slipper because, she doesn't understand him. So she brings almost every small item in the house into his room. At least she's trying to help. Good on you, Nu. Also, side note, Yuka goes full soon here, just thought I'd let you know. Now we get more characterization between the two. Kota mentions that he lost his father, and he brings up how he doesn't really recall anything from when they were young. Now, we need to backtrack a bit. Yuka is a bit of a bitch. In both adaptations, she actually knows what happened to Kota's sister and father, obviously without all the details, but she knows they died horribly. But she still blames them for blocking out these traumatic events? Bruh. When Kota last saw Yuka, they went on a train ride where he believes that Kane eventually died of a disease and his father in a car accident. Whereas in the manga, during this scene we actually get a quick flashback segment where we can see what is obviously a Diclonius murdered them on the train. I wonder who it was. Anyway, Bando is about to lose his balls. He's informed that he's to undergo surgery for the good of mankind. Bando is obviously confused, so we get our first exposition dump. We're told about their vectors and how they work, but most of this is stuff we already know. However, Kurama mentions that most Diclonius die relatively young, with the exception of Lucy, who is the only Diclonius capable of getting pregnant. Don't click off the video, but please bear with me. Bando is told he's infected with the gene that causes Diclonius to be born, and then that Lucy will exterminate all of mankind in order to evolve the species. Yuka decides to move in with Kota since she doesn't like the idea of Kota living alone with another girl. During cleaning, Kota brushes up against Nu and we get another fan service scene before Yuka slaps the ever-living shit out of him. The little girl from before stops by to deliver Kota's umbrella before he invites her inside since she witnessed the ordeal with Bando from last night. While they're discussing, Nu is distracted by a music box and slips, bringing her back into Lucy. She immediately goes for the kill, but she stops due to a vision of a younger Kota screaming. She mutters his name and walks off. So yeah, they've definitely met before. Don't worry, she doesn't harm the dog, she just lets it go. You really think this thing is capable of harming such an adorable creature? Come on. In any case, Yuka tries bonding with Kota again, but of course, like I said, the dude doesn't remember a thing. Could this be a story about bonding to those closest to you, about the happier times in your life? Or maybe it's a narrative that tackles the idea of the ever-increasing passage of time, slowly taking away our most cherished memories? It's a coffin game reference. Get a quick flash of Nana asking the director for his tie as encouragement to do well, and she walks to Lucy, who knew she was coming. Nana doesn't want to kill, since killing is a bad thing. Nana is adamant about Lucy coming with her, and Lucy at least goes easy on her at first since they're the same species. However, Nana wants that smoke. A fight between them inside of a cemetery ensues. Nana has longer vectors than Lucy, so Lucy is at first losing. Of course, Nana does everything she can to ensure that she doesn't kill Lucy, so she can make Kurama proud. Oh, great, love triangle. This is the only thing worth of note that transpires. Oh, come on, we get character development now? Yuka feels conflicted for lashing out because Kota has every right to be forgetful and confused about the past since he lost 2 loved ones. Yeah, Yuka, maybe you should just be a better person. Lucy gets the upper hand since she can utilize telekinesis. Lucy is also much more experienced in terms of combat. Remember, Nana hasn't ever used her vectors on another human being, so she's quite inexperienced. Now, she is able to get a grab on the Lucy's leg, ready to rip it off to incapacitate her. But the little girl comes running up after hearing the fighting, and then Lucy strikes, dismembering Nana. After throwing the random lolly into a tree, she approaches and just continues to tear her limbs off. Honestly, hearing Nana's cries, yeah, it's not easy. Suddenly a shot rings out. Where the hell are they finding these soldiers? She was literally standing still. Director Kurama walks up and then Nana somehow disables Lucy's vectors to render her harmless. Kurama shows genuine care for Nana here, same with before with subtle hints, but as Lucy speaks out about the topic of Nana being his daughter, he backhands her for giving lip. Then she somehow manages to escape because this is the most pathetic team of soldiers ever. Kota is brought to the hospital because a patient said they knew him. And oh look, it's the girl. Kota brings her over for dinner and as Nu embraces Kota, she obviously recognizes Nu, but shrugs off her memory because there's no way this creature is capable of harming others. Writing that to the soon counter. Oh yeah, I made a soon counter. It totally didn't conjure this idea up while I was typing up this very sentence that you're hearing right now. Next we get a fan service bath scene. I am skipping this entire section, only because I don't want to edit more stills onto the screen. Kurama gets orders to put Nana out of her misery due to her no longer being useful. We also get introduced to director Kakuzawa's son, who is obsessed with Lucy. And yes, it's for the exact reasons that you think it is. I mean, come on, she's literally referenced as the Eve of the new species. Kurama injects Nana with what seems to be a lethal injection, which again, it's a hard scene to watch because this show does have some genuine sad moments. Kurama tries to hide it, but he's heartbroken. Mayu doesn't want to be a bother, so she leaves in the middle of the night. Okay, I'm gonna get a lot more serious right here because Mayu's backstory is, well, pretty fucked if I need to put it lightly. So much so that I forgot her storyline was even in the show because my 13-year-old self blocked it out completely. Her parents were monsters, and yes, that smile insinuates exactly what you're thinking. Whenever she tried to tell her mother, she'd just be beaten, implying that she's only with Mayu's now stepfather because it makes him happy. Mayu just breaks and flees home. She is happy at the sight of the ocean and begins walking into the waters with what I imagine was an attempt to just end her life right there, until Dog intervenes. She shows great deal for Wanta. Even though she was derived of love, she wasn't going to let it happen to anyone else. We cut back to the present where a woman takes Wanta from Mayu, not even acknowledging she's there until she's confronted. She tries to see the positives in Wanta being taken back home because the dog will at least be cared for properly. The police find Mayu and she instinctively runs for fear that she'll be returned to her abusive parents, but Kota and crew magically, I swear to God that's the entire structure of this show, finds Mayu and lie to the police saying that they're family. Maya is confused by their compassion, but they bring her in, celebrating her birthday with a cake and news rice. She breaks down and it's good to see that she finally is finding people that aren't complete monsters. Also, the dog came back. Good dog. I sure hope this show doesn't include anything negative pertaining to dogs. I think we're at 4. I also sought out the mother and were able to properly adopt Mayu, so far so good. We're on episode 5 out of 13? Fuck. They bring New along to keep track of her, and they do everything they can to ensure that she stays under the radar until the very man that is obsessed with her walks in. After New gets his attention, he kinda puts two and two together really fast. The professor lies and says that New is his brother's child, and that he won't tell the police if they just leave New in his custody. New doesn't want to leave Kota's side, so she breaks down into tears as he walks away, thinking that this is what's best for her. Oh, brother.
You're supposed to be a guy, and guys aren't supposed to cry.
Don't be a bitch, Yuka. Men's mental health matters in 2024. They're devastated, to say the least. The professor chains her up and preps a sedative for New. He has plans to sleep with her so he can be the Adam to the Eve of the Diclonius. Side note, is he wearing a freaking Batman shirt? Anyway, Mayu goes, yeah, that's BS. And they decide to talk to Kakizawa first thing in the morning. Yuka has another depressive episode about Kota caring for her, and he basically just goes, I don't know, bro. As Kakuzawa readies himself, he turns and, surprise, the body is gone. He didn't bank on Lucy swapping class in the middle of a match, so he's obviously scared right now. We learn that he was the one who set her free, and he brings up how it's her destiny to exterminate mankind via repopulation. Watching the intro, the word destiny really fits here. I'd like to argue that it's my first thought when watching this, that Lucy has some kind of prophecy to fulfill. However, Lucy ain't having it. As a last-ditch effort to get her to see reason, he reveals this. Dude, this is the goofiest thing I have ever seen in the last 3 days. She kills him immediately after. Bando is now one with the machine. In return for complying with the surgery, they replaced his limb and eyes in exchange. However, the man does like his balls. Kota leaves to confront Kakuzawa, and here we meet his assistant. She leads Kota down the steps, sharing way too much information about their research in the Diclonius. Seriously, you'd think she'd have signed an NDA or something. Certified woman moment. They find his head, surprised at the sight of the horns. Scooby-Doo-ah scream. Kota gets these visions and the assistant just lets him leave. Before he can break the news to Yuka, he receives another vision, his whole tone shifted into something calmer, forgetting what he was talking about. This goes nowhere, by the way. We get this exchange where General Director Kakuzawa cares very little for his son's death and throws some shade that irks Kurama. In the hallway, his secretary asks about his family, which he reveals that he murdered his own daughter, his wife taking her life shortly after witnessing it. Mayu leaves her school when she sees Bando. Oh, cool. When she mentions she's the one who saved him, bro has a bit of an existential crisis. He writes down his number so he can arrive to help her out for a single use, so he doesn't have to be indebted to anyone. However, Mayu made a mistake. She mentioned Lucy.
Are you talking about Mia?
As Bando is interrogating her, she uses the number on him, and he actually folds here, letting her go. We also get this tense scene of Wincest. Believe me when I say it's much more graphic in the manga. Yes, they both embrace and are kind of now locked in, I guess. Lucy witnesses Yuka and him being passionate and, well, safe to say she's a little jealous. Surprised by her ability to speak well, he tries to prevent her from leaving off on her own. Lucy says she doesn't deserve to be with him, briefly mentioning 8 years ago. Gee, I wonder what happened, before she shifts back into New. Think we're at 6. 7.
I said it was okay.
Forget what I said and cut it out!
Ow!
Actually, no, we'll count that as 8. Nana wakes up on the beach with a recording from Kurama, telling her that he assisted her in escaping, placing her limbs and giving her cash to support her for a while as he pulls strings from the inside, ensuring that he will find her later down the line. Oh, Bando's here. Oh shit. Nana shrugs off Bando's threats until he fires a tungsten round at her, smacking her onto the ground. Bando believes Nana knows Lucy's whereabouts, so he continues to taunt her until she activates her femcell rage, once Bando reveals that humanity doesn't care for them and that their kind is exterminated after they're no longer useful. Bro is actually fucking around and we'll soon find out. A fight ensues after a jump cut because this show's pacing sucks, Bando's round only slowing her down due to the sheer force. He leads her to a patch of empty land thinking that he has her at a disadvantage until he hesitates and she shoots her arm at him. Since he's in a familiar predicament, he pulls out another gun which destroys his new arm. However, this bullet grazed her, but since it was Nana's actual flesh, she starts to cry. Love how he just looks so annoyed here. Sum it all up, they conclude that they share Lucy as a common enemy and decide to team up, Bando giving her his number so he can assist wherever Nana finds Lucy. I'm gonna play this clip because it's funny.
But it looks like you could use help getting up.
You bitch! You did that on purpose, didn't you? Idiot.
Nana is cool. We like Nana. Secretary snitches that the commander freed Nana, and we learn that Kurama killed his own daughter because she was born with the vector virus. We get a short scene where you see he really feels for all the people he's lost, only glad that he was able to free Nana. Nana is alone and ponders if she really was thrown away, feeling like she's a girl failure. Then Mayu arrives, who is of course surprised at the sight of Nana, since she previously saw her limbs get removed. They bond after restoring the byproducts of Nana's vandalism. They both find solace in each other since they can relate to the abandonment. Of course, she does that anime pose. They decide to become friends. I wonder how this will play out in the next 5 minutes. I also get this really cute moment where Mayu frantically tries to stop Nana from burning even more money. She also gaslights her.
Because what I said about the spell was a lie.
Damn, Mayu, your trauma doesn't excuse your actions. Mayu reveals that Nu is another Diclonius. Nana doesn't detect Nu, whereas she did with Lucy. Kota invites them both in. Yeah, she's a little pissed. Of course, Nu loses consciousness, so in retaliation, Kota slaps Nana. Nana is upset that everyone is taking Lucy's side, and she runs away feeling like she's being treated as the bad guy. Also, I was just listening to the dub here, and oh my god, listen to this audio quality.
Let's go, run away! I said let me go!
Nana shows off her vectors to Mayu and explains the differences between them and the Diclonius. While Nana is freaking out over the sin of telling someone about herself, she gets a head hurdy because she now senses that Lucy is conscious. Now, we see Lucy is in a more flustered state. Then we begin our flashback. From overhearing the school staff talking down to her, to bullying, being abandoned by her parents, she's been neglected and cast away since birth. Her only friend being this girl who helps her out. Wow, she sure seems like a very good person. She finds peace in this random dog, being sure to tell it not to go over to the orphanage for its own safety. The dog is her only source of happiness in this world of loneliness. During one night, we get this scene where Lucy finally develops her vectors. Lucy informs her friend of the dog she found, putting her trust in her. The next day, we cut to Lucy in class. Okay, I'm gonna pause and put a disclaimer here. You most likely recall a scene from this show that involves a dog, and yes, we are here. I won't show it to you, don't worry, I'll just use relevant stills since no one wants to see that on a poorly made YouTube video. They taunt Lucy with the dog, causing Lucy to retaliate, which angers the bullies to the point where they start to abuse the dog, finally holding it down and they bludgeon it. Lucy is devastated. Then they're interrupted by her friend, where they reveal that she told them about the dog, not knowing that they were going to beat it. What finally makes Lucy crack is when she comes to the realization that her only friend is dead, and her previous friend, letting her facade fade with a smile. This is when she first uses her vectors, and it's a bloodbath. Nice of you to repaint the room, Lucy, but you could have finished. Lucy is repulsed by her differences and what happened until she hears a music box play, which then pans to Kota. Oh, cool. Wait, we still have 5 episodes left? Ruh-roh. Lucy shrugs off Kota at first, stating her hatred for humans, but Kota shouts out that he will be at the same spot tomorrow. We see that Lucy's been surviving on her own by breaking into people's homes and butchering them. That is not a very nice thing to do, Lucy. Lucy has a hat now. Awesome. Despite Lucy's hatred of humanity, she actually finds happiness with Kota since he was the first person to ever show her kindness. We get touching moments between the two as the music box plays, and I really like how the intro is diegetic in this anime. The next scene we get involves Lucy slaughtering a family because she has to do this every night. Why does she do it? Because of their sounds of joy. Heavy stuff. Your Honor, medicate that child.
Have you been waiting for me? I wasn't really waiting.
Yeah, screw it, I'll add it to the soon counter. Now, on a bus ride, they plan on going to the zoo together, which Lucy doesn't like at first due to her being treated like an animal in the past. But she quickly is filled with glee upon seeing the animals.
It's not like I'm having fun. He just surprised me, that's all. And whoa, look at that neck!
In this scene, we see that she's really attached to Kota right now, and she really doesn't want to let him go. Lucy overhears a couple discussing the murders, and when Lucy ponders over the topic, she is shocked when she realizes, oh yeah, I did kill people. That's a bad thing to do. Now we get these nightmare scenes where voices of other Dicloni tell her it's her destiny to take human life. However, overwhelmed with the voices, she snaps out of it and moves on to the next place with Kota. They go to a river where they get into a splash fight. Now on the bus ride home, she freaks out over the voices again, only to wake up strangling Kota, which bro is just like, you good? For their final goodbye, they hum Lilium together. Now Lucy sneaks out to go find Koda again, and after seeing Koda and Yuka together, she's knocked down and then enters another nightmare realm. The voices tell her to embrace every bad and negative emotion and use it to wipe out humanity that wishes to harm her. So she begins to do just that. Lucy goes on a rampage. She's witnessed by Kane and we're brought back to the present. Nana and Mayu return to Maple House where she encounters Lucy again. God, I feel like I've said this sentence so many times, and yeah, you won't believe how the fight ends either. Nana and Lucy get into a fight that is pretty meh, since the studio wasted the animation budget like 5 episodes ago. Mayu blocks Nana's vectors from harming Lucy. Of course, Lucy transforms back to new because the show doesn't want Koda to know that Lucy exists yet. This time, instead of shutting her out, they invite Nana into the house for dinner and she starts gorging. Nana apologizes to all of them, and then we're brought back to Kurama. He thinks back to the director saying he still owes him a debt, and then we get his backstory. During his time studying, he gets a job researching with Kakuzawa, who intrigues him with seeing a new human race. We then cut to the police closing in on a murderer. Upon moving their way into the house, they see it's a little girl, and obviously they don't know it's actually a Diclonius, so when they enter, they realize their mistake. After she attacks, she's quickly shot by the police. We see a girl being experimented on to see if she can deflect projectiles. As we can see, Kurama is obviously disturbed by this. He's conflicted because he still sees the Diclonius as human. The young Diclonius is able to escape due to them underestimating the rate at which her vectors were formed. She confronts Kurama, placing her vector through his head before she's shot by Kakuzawa. General Director Kakuzawa gives the two the order to start eliminating any Diclonius. When a coworker is begging them to leave her daughter alone, you can see that Kurama fucking hates this. This explains why he's often perceived as cold in earlier episodes due to him taking on this responsibility. We even get a scene of
Kisaragi.
Oh, right, that's her name. He brings up how he keeps her around because she makes his job a lot easier with her antics. Then we're brought to the hospital. Kurama's daughter is a Diclonius. Remember that the vectors transmit the virus? The very Diclonius that infected him did so because she found his kindness worthy of starting new generations, I assume? The anime doesn't really tell you. Kurama goes to handle his daughter before his wife interrupts him and eventually bleeds out due to all the strain of just trying to stop him, dying in his arms. They realize how the virus is spread. Kurama is given orders to locate the original Diclonius. This shows us why he really cares for Nana, since she's the first Diclonius he's met that wasn't a violent monster. I'm gonna say, I think other than Nana and Lucy, Kurama is a much more interesting character than Koda. I'd argue he's actually a decent character overall. I wish the show focused more on him, Lucy, and Nana, rather than the harem stuff. Now, Nana gets a nightmare that was caused due to Mayu's gaslighting, and we see she starts to really embrace the idea of having an actual family. We're then brought to Secretary Girl. They're here to release number 35, a Diclonius with 11-meter vectors. We're introduced as cute anime girl who is the surrogate mother of number 35, who's named Mariko. They plan to release her so they can take out Nana. There's a catch though. They planted explosives inside of 35's body to keep her under control. They open the doors and out comes this malnourished child who can barely walk. She collapses and the cute anime girl goes to check on her. However, 35 knows this isn't her real mother. Nothing bad happens to this randomly placed anime girl. Nothing at all, don't worry about it. We get this cool shot as 35 is ready to slaughter everyone until the cute anime girl presses one of the buttons which takes off 35's arm, and then she is subdued. We get scenes of Nana adapting to her new life, but she is still conflicted about how to feel about new, afraid of what will happen if she becomes Lucy again. Then we're brought back to the facility where we find out that Kurama is now missing. Bando is picking up litter for some reason when Kurama approaches right behind him, offering to fix his arm in exchange for helping Kurama kill Mariko. Nana asks Koda about the picture of Kane, which leads to New speaking a full sentence before she runs out and trims her hair, trying to ask Koda for forgiveness. Now, Koda thinks it's because of the seashell from earlier, but we know that New still has the memories that Lucy had when she murdered his family. While feeding Wanta, Nana senses that Mariko is incoming, so she leaves to face her so she doesn't have to endanger the others. We like you, Nana. I pray you get a happy ending in the manga. Koda leaves to go find Nana and New in tow. Nana walks over to Mariko, and, spoiler alert, since Nana is a cute innocent anime girl, she gets rocked immediately. As Mariko is touring with Nana, Koda intervenes, but the scientist guy orders Mariko to take out Nana, regardless if Koda is hurt or not. When Nana is pushed up against the railing, she takes this opportunity to disable her vectors before she falls into the water. Then New comes running. The secretary tries to stop Koda from going to her, thinking that Lucy is still conscious. The group fires upon Koda and New, then we cut to Mayu telling Yuka that she sees her and Koda as her actual parents now. I have no idea why they cut to this. Remember when I said the show's pacing sucks? It's stuff like this I'm talking about. The bullets were blocked because Lucy is now back. God, dude, this is so monotonous. As the secretary chick walks up to Coda, she's sliced in half and then Coda starts screaming once it all hits him. Lucy does this crazy jump across the bridge, and then she does another one as she lands into the group of soldiers, ripping them apart. We're given a final flashback sequence. Lucy kills his sister and his father, which honestly, his dad's death made me laugh. I mean, just watch this.
Hey, Coda, what are you screaming about?
Lucy mentions that the only reason Coda is alive is because she still considers him a friend. Then Coda tackles her, begging her to stop as he experiences his first fairly justified crash out. You also get this horrible zoom-in section. I have no idea why this looks so rough. We get this emo section where Lucy argues that she doesn't have to give Coda answers, but Coda retorts saying, you know what, no, I do deserve to know some answers because, you know, you murdered 2 of my family members. His shot rings out and Coda brings Lucy to the ground to protect her. Hey, yippee, Bando's here. Lucy jumps back to the other bridge and Bando somehow does the same, covering this massive distance. We also get this goofy scene. The final episode has Kurama saving Nana, and then we see that Lucy beat Bando again. God, this guy sucks. But she doesn't kill him and just leaves him there. We never see him again after this, so I hope you enjoyed our time with Bando. We get this, okay, Mayu is cool, but I do not care for the emotional reinforcement bait. Moving on. Mariko gains her vectors back, and the remaining soldier and the science dude set up an ambush with the plan to have Lucy and Mariko fight each other, with no way I'm with the science team guy planning to take out the victor. Lucy and Mariko fight, and Lucy's able to get the upper hand, thinking that she was able to harm her by removing her arm, but of course, it's just a prosthetic. Which, come to think of it, this is actually the only decent piece of writing in this story. Oh my god. Meaning, yes, she's still fully capable of using her vectors. Mariko breaks off one of Lucy's horns, and she is completely out of the fight, believed to be dead. As Science Man goes to detonate the explosives, Kurama intervenes. Oh yeah, Mariko is Kurama's actual daughter, the same from the hospital. He can't bring herself to shoot her. Mariko starts to lament her whole existence, and eventually begins harming Nana once more since the writer really doesn't like Nana. He drops the gun and goes over to hug her. He tells her that he's never stopped thinking about her and apologizes that he wasn't there to provide her with love. Which is also most likely another reason they cared so much for Nana, since Nana saw him as a father figure, so the guilt really hit him hard. He strongly hints at Science Man to arm the explosives when he's far enough, giving a final goodbye to Nana. Oh my god, I can't believe I survived! Kurama reassures he's always loved Mariko, and as she releases a smile, the timer goes off as they embrace with Kurama's memories playing before the explosion plays off in the distance. I actually kind of like this section. Again, out of all the characters, mostly Nana and Kurama were the only ones I really liked or found interesting. Science Man goes to execute Nana, and you wouldn't believe what happens to him next. He died. Lucy tells Nana to go and live her life with Coda and gang, still not forgiving herself for her past. When she meets with Coda and tries to walk away, Coda wants her to stay despite him most likely never being able to forgive her. They embrace in a hug and tears are shed as their childhood memories play one last time, finalizing on the music box. We get a shot that mimics a mural in the intro, and then the screen fades to black. And I'm gonna be honest, I actually really like this section. If the rest of the story was good, this probably would have made me cry as a grown man. I'm not saying it didn't tear me up a bit, but it would have been stronger if the rest of the narrative was good. Oh wait, but that's not the ending, because there's more. Nana makes it home, but Lucy is surrounded, and as Nana gives off a quick reaction, the soldiers fire and Lucy's final horn flies off. Dude, what the fuck? Coda and crew gather for lunch, with an extra bowl being placed, just in case she ever returned. Now, despite it strongly insinuating that Lucy died, Coda hears a knock and we see a silhouette of a woman before the credits roll. Before we get to the final segment of this video, there is more of Elfen Lied that we can go over, and that's the OVA. Taking place between episodes 10 and 11, it's about Nana adapting to her new life, along with getting backstory pertaining to Lucy. We mostly get these silly moments that feel like they're straight out of a slice of life, just to revert back and prove my previous point about the writers hating Nana. She leaves after an argument about her role in the harem, and as she's blaming Lucy for her troubles, she sees Bando threatening a couple for littering. Bro at least follows equal rights, equal fights, I guess. She awkwardly tries to leave, but Bando can see through her bullshit, and we get this silly segment of them walking and bickering back and forth. Since Bando knows she knows Lucy's whereabouts, Nana returns to fetch New, but is surprised that she was actually worried for her. She leads New to Bando, and it's clear she's feeling guilty for doing so. She tries rejecting her kindness, and then she falls, causing Lucy to fall after her, knocking her unconscious. She brings her inside but quickly goes for the kill until Lucy utters the word friend. In the flashback, we see an older Lucy who befriended a normal person. She reveals her true nature to her friend, who accepts her, taking Lucy's hat as a memento since she planned on running away to the police as Lucy ran. But they're both interrupted as Kurama and the police show up. They open fire at Kakuzawa's orders despite Kurama's protests that they don't know if Lucy's friend is a Diclonius, since the hat makes that a little difficult. Lucy blocks their bullets, incapacitates a few of them, which honestly they got lucky here, before 2 officers decide to flank. Somehow, Lucy didn't see this obvious plan of theirs, so distracted, a cop fires and Lucy's friend pushes her out of the way, the bullet dropping her dead. Kurama, feeling like shit, offers Lucy a deal. She comes with them and they'll save the girl. Kurama informs Lucy that the girl died, and upon leaving we see Lucy crying through her mask as she tells him that she won't kill him, but will instead take everything he cares for away, ensuring that he suffers the same as her. This explains why Lucy didn't kill him in the first episode, which is a gripe I had until watching this one. Although it barely fixes the core writing issues, it's nice to have this explanation. Lucy wakes up and Nana begins to cry and apologize. They buy Nana new clothes that show that they care, and Nana gets emotional again. After a fan service scene, we cut to this scene of Bando. Kurama approaches behind him even though they met when the sun was setting and not at nighttime, but if the author didn't care enough to make a good story, then why should the animation team spend time fixing it? Overall, it was okay. Now, let's wrap things up and move on to the manga differences. And that's Elfen Lied. Not gonna lie, that ending kinda sucked. Although it would have been more abrupt, I would have rather if the credits just rolled after Lucy's teardrop. I recall fonder memories regarding this anime from my youth, but as an adult, I don't like the show as much. Elfen Lied, it's a very mixed bag for me. The show has heartfelt moments that would hit harder if the characters weren't so one-dimensional. Sure, you can like Mayu or Nana and feel terrible for them, but the show doesn't really do anything with them with the exception of Nana, and that's using her as the show's punching bag. The only other character that has kind of an arc or an interesting premise other than Lucy is director Kurama, but again, the show wants to instead focus on Koda and his fucking harem. Another issue I have is the violence overall. Bad things don't happen to the characters for thematic or development reasons. They happen because, oh look, bad things are happening to the anime women. Doesn't that make you sad? This is what I mean by the show is just edgy. There isn't a purpose to the horrible shit. It's just there to make you feel bad. It's just a shame because Elfen Lied's biggest issue, other than the pacing issues and weak cast, is its potential. Elfen Lied has so much potential to be a good or interesting story, one to be considered one of the best, but instead it's just a guy that's trying to be deep. Did I just accidentally make a joke? Seriously, look up the studio that animated this and look into their previous works. Elfen Lied could have been something great and is only regarded in memory because the majority of its audience at the time of release were young, myself included. And it really does pain me to say this truly because I recalled liking this show a lot when I was in middle school. But as an adult, going back to it, no. It's not that good. I still like it. I still like it for what it is, but you know, it's mostly nostalgia speaking right there. Now, I'm going to cover the manga differences. For the most part, the manga and the anime events play out almost identical, except for the final episode. Other than scenes that provide more context, like the Diclonius' origins, the major difference is Lucy herself. In the manga, it's mentioned that the Diclonius are generally more prone to acts of violence, whereas in the anime, it's briefly mentioned. So in my eyes, the people that were experimenting on Lucy and the other Diclonius are monsters, but with this fact about the Diclonius, it's more understandable why they'd want to contain them or why they'd see them as less than human, since they're just violent monsters in their eyes. If this was hammered home more in the beginning and not like 4 episodes before the show ends, it would have provided a moral stance for the viewer to ponder. Instead, this detail is barely told to us, so we just assume that Lucy and the other Diclonius are expressing crash-outs of a justified variety. Okay, last time I'll use that joke. But still, I'm serious. Let me know what you guys think about that in the comments. Except for Nana, she didn't deserve anything but the entire world. All my homies like Nana. Finally, I'll go over the biggest difference in the manga, and that's in regards to the ending. Kurama still takes Mariko and saves Nana, but instead of going out with his daughter on the bridge, a whole missile crashes onto them. First, it's a fake out when you go through the panels, and then the second one hits Kurama, but when Nana returns, it turns out he survived. Dude, this manga sucks. There are literally no stakes. Almost every one of the main cast members are safe, even Bando of all people. The wiki page for Elfen Lied is so aware of the story's poor writing that they even point out the inconsistencies as a joke, which I just love. The reason of this ending is because when the anime was airing, the manga was still ongoing, so they were forced to just condense it all into 13 episodes, hence why Kurama dies here, and why it's strongly implied that Lucy died or went missing. Only the return near the end if the latter is true. Keep in mind, I am still reading the manga because I spent money on it like an idiot, and I will get my 4 mega volumes worth of mid. See that when manga is a subject, 3 inches matters quite a bit. With all that being said, that wraps up this video. I was going to do a section on how I'd fix the story since it has so much potential, but I don't want to come off as a pretentious prick, so I decided to scrap it. Was the show as good as I remembered? No, it really wasn't. Regardless though, it will still have a special place in my heart as my first ever anime. I think Elfen Lied has amazing ideas but suffers from the worst case of inconsistency I've ever seen. However, I do think Elfen Lied can serve as a good source to gain inspiration from since, again, so many ideas that sound amazing are there or implied just for them to go nowhere. If you enjoyed this video, please consider liking and subscribing, and if you want to take it a step further, follow me on Twitch and my socials. I'm trying to build a platform on those at the moment. I'm mostly active on my TikTok, or at least I will be soon once I compile a bunch of shorts edit together. I've been kind of busy lately, but I'm having a lot of free time, so expect more consistency. With that being said, thank you for tuning into this coverage of an old 2000s edgy anime that people just vaguely remember. Peace out, guys.